welcome to West Underground, and thank you, Blake, for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So tell us about yourself.
Well, my name's Blake Cateris, and I'm a bass guitarist, a songwriter, and I play in a plethora of bands. I've been playing music since I was 5. Like, I started on the piano doing like all this, the stuff you do in school. And then I got a bass guitar, and when I went to high school, I met some friends, and they were like, I played bass guitar and they needed a bass guitarist, and I was like, oh, okay, fine. And we just started learning like AC/DC and like all these old school kind of music to just play, and we needed a singer. And it kind of like got me hooked. And the 2 people that I went to high school with now play in a band together called Star Crazy.
Oh, nice.
So it's the singer and the guitarist. So we all went to high school together. And after that, so yeah, it got to the point where I was, going out to see bands, and then Frankie's opened, and I went to see the house band that were playing, and it's just phenomenal musicians. Like, every time I went to see them, I felt like I learned something new. And I was talking to the bass player after a gig once and realized that, it's a reality. You can make money from music. And so that's when it kind of dawned on me. It's like, oh, I can do this. I'm going to try and do this. So I started to like put myself out there for cover gigs as a bass guitarist. And around that time as well, I joined a new band, left my high school band and joined a new band, Vanity Riots. Did a couple of tours. We went over to the Philippines and Indonesia and played over there. That was cool. Yeah. It's just a different like, music is a different thing over there compared to here.
So what was it like when you first went over to the Philippines?
Well, we're on the plane, and our singer, Monica, paid for Wi-Fi or something on the plane just to make sure we were in the loop with everything. And while we were halfway over there, our guitarist, who's Filipino, was basically our tour manager, messaged her and like, well, we're halfway over there going, you guys land at like 10 in the morning or something. Do you reckon you'd be up for playing a show that night? Like, we had a bunch of shows planned, but this was like super last minute. Yeah. And then we get there, and like, none of us have been there, and it's like there are no traffic rules. It's like there are buses playing chicken with each other just to try and get into. It's like, so we're like, he's driving us to this gig, and we're playing on this like college football field basically, and it's like all the kids are in the stands, like the bleachers or the stands, and everyone's watching this show, and it's like there's like hundreds of people at this show, and it's like, this is nuts. And there'd be other times where we played at a show in Manila, at Manila's version of Hot Damn, basically. Oh, yeah. And that was intense. Like, that place was a lot of fun. And just like the kind of eye-opening thing for me in that country, where in terms of the difference in the cultures when it comes to music, is that like, we had a show that was cancelled the night before, and we woke up and BJ did his thing and like tour managed and, sorted out a gig for that night. So at 8 a.m. we had a new show locked in. By 8 p.m. there were like 300 people there. Wow. And it's like 12 hours notice, 300 people. Whereas here, you need like 6 months to get 300 people to a show at like, for a band that was like at a local level. Yeah. So it was really eye-opening. I had a really good time over there. And then we went to Indonesia and played a few shows there as well.
Was it much the same over there? Much kind of the same way that they, you're getting lots of people to your shows like you did in the Philippines?
Yeah, it was a bit different because we didn't have as many. It's a completely different dialect. So BJ, in terms of being a tour manager, was essentially useless. He was just a member of the band in Indonesia because it's a different language. So we played, and we were mainly in Kuta Beach, which is like the tourist area. It's like where everyone in Australia goes to holiday when they go to Bali, is Kuta Beach. So we're in that area, and there are a couple of cool little bars that we played at, and then we took a boat out to some island, and I got a fresh tattoo, and they'd be like, when I was back in the Philippines, so this fresh tattoo on my ankle, and you're carrying like $2,000 worth of the guitar pedals and your guitars in this water into a boat and things like that. And I got a fresh tattoo, and I'm just like, this is like not what I expected.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have got the tattoo if I knew I had to do this.
Yeah, it's over the speaker.
Yeah.
Tattoo.
It's like, don't drop this. Like, I can't afford to replace this. Don't drop this.
And the tattoo, it's all right.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck, I'll just put some antiseptic cream on it. That'll be fine. But that was a really cool experience. And especially like I'd only really been overseas when I was, other than that, when I was 16, I went to Germany. So to experience a country, like a culture like the Philippines and Indonesia was amazing. And to do it like on tour. And so after Vanity Riots, I started to get more work as a bass player, like hustling and meeting people and playing shows with other people. And then obviously if you do a good job, they'll ask you back. And then around that time, around like a year after the house band started, they started talking about putting together this karaoke band, which the guitarist in the house band and his brother had trialed at various other places like Black Cherry. And they got this guy called Dave Eastgate, who's a comedian. He's probably one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life, to spearhead that whole thing. And I just kept hounding Jordan because I wasn't really like in with that group of musicians. I just kept hassling him. I was like, hey, what's happening with this? I'd go to Frankie's and try and like get him face to face and go, what's happening with this? Until he finally was like, okay, awesome. Like, we've got it all sorted. This is the band. It's with Andrew Grant, Pierre, Ishak, and Dave Eastgate. And the funny thing is, like, Dave never actually asked me to join the band. Wow. It's like there was never any like, do you want to be in the band? It was basically like just assumed. And it's just one of those funny things where usually it's like, okay, so this is what we're doing. Do you want in?
Yeah.
And there was nothing like that. It was just kind of just assumed. So I did one practice, like an introduction gig with Dave at Factory Theatre. And I'd listen to the songs, and when you're learning the songs, like, you listen to the lyrics, and it's
his songs?
Yeah, his own. So his own songs, and it's really hard to get to the end of the song without laughing because the lyrics are just so ridiculous.
And then the end of his songs, he'll just rip in this like sentence.
Yeah, he'll just do his comedy.
Funny.
So like there was one point, because I was just not prepared for his comedy. There was one point where like the song finished and I picked up my beer and he just said something and I just spat my beer all over my pedal board.
Was that set up for you? And he goes, I jizz in my pants when I spew?
That was.
That'll crack me.
I was used to that at that point because I had to listen to that so many times to learn the songs. But it was just, he was just going into his improvised comedy. Yeah. And it's just, I can't remember what he said, but it just took me by surprise and I just spat my beer all over my pedal board. And that just made the joke even funnier because it's like so candid that happened. And so, and that turned into something that we've been
about 5 years now.
Ignoring coronavirus, like that's something we've been doing for like close to 6 years now.
Yeah, 6 years.
Yeah. And then so after Vanity Riots, we all got to a point where we were just like kind of like needing to do other things. Yeah. And we're all still friends. We met up like 2 weeks ago or something for beers. Like, we're all still friends and all that. So it was just a mutual thing. I started my own band. Yeah. Which is Molly and the Krells. And that's still going to this day, which is great. And that's my vessel for songwriting. That's my passion project. And that's the thing that means the most to me out of everything that I'm doing musically.
Yeah, so how did that come about?
Yeah, so as a first band, how did you find it? Was it hard to find the right people?
Yeah.
It was hard, like...
It was, I basically asked my friends if they would help me out. There's all people in other bands, like Odin who's in Star Crazy now, so the guy that I went to high school with, I just asked him, I was like, do you want to do this just to help me get it started so I can get the ball rolling? He had his own band going at the time. My friend Hayden, who sings in a band called Black Heartbreakers. He also, like, same deal. I was like, you've got your own band, but do you want to help me get this started? I ran into this guy at a Misfits show that I'd known for a while, and I just asked him after the show. I was like, I know you're a drummer. Your band just broke up. I'm just trying to start a punk band. Do you want to do it? And he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. So we put out a few EPs, and there was various lineup changes because it got to the point where like Odin couldn't do 2 bands at the same time. Hayden couldn't do 2 bands at the same time, and it was all mutual. Like it was going to happen.
Well, you asked them to help out to get to roll.
Exactly. Like the whole premise of it was like this was eventually going to happen.
Yeah.
And the lineup that we've had at the moment has been together for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And we've recorded 2 songs at Electric Sun with Stevie Knight, and one of them is out. One of them, What Went Wrong. We put that out in February, and then the tour got cut short because of coronavirus.
Yeah.
And because of all the restrictions, I was telling you before, we played at La La La's in Wollongong, and because of all the restrictions, they couldn't have as many people in the venue. So on a technicality, we sold out La La La's. It was like, yes. And that show was the last show before the country went into lockdown.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool way to end things.
Yeah.
End on a high note after like such a depressing thing, like a global pandemic happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then on the side of all that as well, I've been trying to teach myself guitar, and I started taking lessons as well to get better at that, just to improve my songwriting and just go down that rabbit hole of information, which is songwriting, and get better at that kind of thing. And so I've been doing that, and then I've got a whole album worth of songs that I don't really have any plans for.
Yeah.
So usually what I'll try and do is if I write a song, I'll try and find a way to make it into a Molly and the Krells song.
Yeah.
But if it's like too personal or not the right vibe, I'll just keep it to myself, and then I'll just
one of the Molly
record it
songs that was a bit personal was about the one about your sister.
Oh, yep. So it was basically...
Well, not your sister, but like just in general.
The premise of the song is basically guys that are dicks to women for no reason. And the song's called Gaslight Anthem.
Yeah.
The whole concept of gaslighting someone.
Yeah.
And the inspiration came from a situation my sister was in.
Wow.
And I wrote a whole song about it, and it's lyrically like it just sits the best out of that whole EP. That Losing Friends EP that we did, that kind of lyrically sits the best with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when you're learning guitar, is that when you decided to do like solo gigs at beer gardens, pubs, and on Sunday afternoon sessions?
Yeah.
Was that the goal, or was it just the...
Yeah, well, that was kind of like there's plenty, like a couple of things that were like productive from that. I got the inspiration to do that when I was out with some friends at a bar, and there was someone playing, like doing an acoustic thing, and he sucked. Like, I don't know who it was. I'd never met the person in my life, but he was so bad, and I was like, this guy sucks. Like, even I could do this. And then it clicked, and I was like, even I could do this.
Yeah.
All right. So I started to learn a bunch of songs, and I knew you have to have a repertoire, and you have to, like, crowd pleasers. There's going to be some songs that I didn't really want to learn that I would have to learn, which is fine. Like, there's not really like a band out there that I dislike. It's just you just don't have enough time in the day to get around to everything that's out there at the moment. Like I poke fun at Metallica all the time because PA loves Metallica, but it's like I don't dislike Metallica.
Nice.
Like, no matter how many times I play Enter Sandman, like it still kicks ass. Like it's still a good song.
It is,
But yeah, so there'll be songs that like it's things like Sweet Child of Mine and Living on a Prayer that like everyone wants you to play, and you're like, here we go, okay.
Yeah.
Things like that. But that was like this. There was like it was. How do I say this? Twice as productive for me because suddenly I was doing like all these gigs. I'd like basically doubled my income by taking on this acoustic stuff. And at the same time, I was gradually getting better at singing, getting better at guitar, and getting to this point where like I could actually play guitar as opposed to just slamming out power chords, not really knowing what I'm doing. Just saying, oh, that sounds cool. All right.
Yeah. Nice.
So I did that for about a year. Well, so I started like last January 2019, doing the acoustic gigs, and then it got to March and coronavirus happened, and obviously that kind of had to stop.
Yeah.
But I got this idea from this singer. Her name's Grace Drummond. She's a singer for a Melbourne band called Something Explosion. And when coronavirus happened, everything shut down. Like all these musicians and hospitality workers were out of work. And she just put a status up going like, if anyone wants to pay me $20 to cover a song, help me pay my bills, I'll do it. And I was like, that's a really good idea. So I did that. And I started this covered series.
Well, you getting people to pay you, or you just doing?
Yeah, like send me $20 to cover a song.
I was going to suggest you Cats in the Cradle, but I was like,
Cats, yeah.
I was going to suggest you one. I just keep forgetting to do it.
It's all good. I basically wrapped it up now because I feel weird because JobKeeper kicked in and I got JobKeeper and things like that. So I feel weird like going, give me $20 and I'll cover a song. It's like it was basically, the premise of it was to help me pay my phone bill and help me eat and stuff like that. Because I bought my phone on a plan. So my phone bill is like $140 a month. So I'm still paying it off. So I was like, I need money. How am I going to do this? So I, put the word out, and I've literally got one more to do, and I'm going to start learning it on Monday, and then that's laid to rest, and I'll send everyone I'll send everyone that
you
did
just have yourself play two different parts, split the screen, split the video, and just it'll be great idea.
If I had those drops,
yeah.
So that really helped me get through things, and then JobKeeper kicked in, and so I really appreciate.
Yeah, not only did you actually made a song about the coronavirus itself, and the lyrics are really deep, and it was just an amazing song.
No, thanks.
Did you really think that song was actually get as big as you thought it was going to be?
No, it was basically it was in the moment when I was just watching live updates of what the government were doing about lockdowns and things like that. And it was just a heat of the moment thing. Yeah. It's one of those things where it literally, I wrote it in a day. I probably wrote it in a couple of hours. You hear those stories of people I literally wrote it in 5 minutes. You didn't write it in 5 minutes. You probably wrote it in a couple of hours, which is still a big feat because most people sit on songs for months, years.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you before, when you were doing all these cover gigs, was it kind of satisfying to be kind of living life as your full-time, doing music as your full-time occupation?
Yeah.
Was that a really good feeling to not have to kind of do the 9 to 5 kind of?
Yeah, it was liberating because I'd done work before that, landscaping work before that. And you're getting up at 6 a.m, getting home at 4 p.m, or sometimes worse hours than that. And it was good because it was just weekly pay, and it was good to fund everything you wanted to do. But it got to the point where I realized it became an option to make money from music. Like I said, talking to Bobby, and he was people can do that.
Now he plays with Wolf Mother.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw him. I was because I saw his status on Instagram. He was, I'll be at Wolf Mother. I thought he was going to be a
just going
sound check. Walks out on stage. He's playing the bass. Must be checking the bass.
And
he's actually playing the bass.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, that's Bobby from Freakies.
Yeah, he's awesome, and he's always been supportive.
Yeah.
And happy to give me advice whenever he wants, whenever he's able to. Yeah. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. I've met him once at the Bullenbush for the Metallica tribute band.
Yeah.
I met Bobby, and I was wearing a hot shirt as well. And he goes, you met Ronnie? I'm like, wait, no, I haven't met Ronnie. No, I just like the band. So you're in, and I opened up to a band in LA.
Yeah. So
with you playing in the Hots overseas, did you meet Ronnie and Foxy when they were living in Sydney?
Yeah. So I kind of known both of them from different crowds before they got married. I'd kind of known both of them for 10 years, maybe 11 years now. How old am I? Yeah, about 11 years now.
Yeah.
No, different crowds, and always been friends, and gone to see bands together, played shows together, that kind of thing. And then time came where the bass player that they use in LA was also just doing the same thing that I do in Sydney, which is being a freelance musician, a hired gun. And he was on tour. He was touring Europe with another band, and they're like, "We need someone. Like, we've got these shows.
Yeah.
Do you like?" And they just got in contact with me and was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Yeah.
Sorry, before that, they asked me to play bass on the EP that they have down in Melbourne.
That's right. Yeah.
Because they were going for a very Australian hard rock sound, and they're like, "This just makes total sense to get Australians to do this because they're going to get it."
Yeah.
So he got Mick O'Shea, who used to play in Rose Tattoo, and used to play with Kevin Borich as well. And they asked me to do it. So Mick and I both live in Sydney, so they flew us down to Melbourne to work with Mark Opitz, who's done INXS, AC/DC, Divinals. And that was an experience because Mark, it's like, he has an idea and he'll suggest it and it works. It's like just always works. And you're like, "Oh, I don't know." And then you try it, you're like, "Damn it, it worked." Like, how does he do that?
Yeah.
He just like knows what sounds good.
Yeah, because it's Foxy Kelly and then drummer and bass feeling. But it sounds like Ronnie plays, it sounds like there's two guitars playing.
Yeah.
But when you see him live, it's actually him playing.
Yeah.
Because he does a lot of guitar work in.
Yeah, absolutely. And he did Nice Boys in one take. Like that downstroke in Nice Boys that he did is in one take. And it's like no one does that these days. With the beauty of like Pro Tools and having like digital audio workspaces, I think that's what you call it. Yeah. You can just drop in, you can take multiple takes to get the song done, but he just did it in one take.
Wow.
And so that whole that EP was a big milestone for that band.
Yeah.
And I was happy to be a part of it. Yeah. It was good fun.
It was good because Ronnie Simmons, he also played with the Screaming Jets that I found out recently.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
And that would be a great experience for him to make.
Yeah, he did. He did. I think he played on a guitar. He's probably done more than this. But he played a guitar solo in one of their tracks on an album. And then because he's mates with Paul Wassine, who's the bass player in Screaming Jets, and so Paul was filling in for on bass for Rose Tattoo when they played at Frankie's, and they got Ronnie up to play a couple of songs. So that like it's a big musical circle. Like everyone knows each other basically.
Yeah. So when you went to Los Angeles to play with the Hots, do you think the music scene's a lot different over there than Sydney?
Yes. Yeah. It's a different world over there. Absolutely. As it would be in London or Berlin. Yeah. Like it's just a different world.
What are the main differences that, for predominantly Australian musicians are going to be watching this? So what are the main differences from, us playing here to going over there, I suppose?
Where do I start? It was I can only really speak from my experiences, but it was just a different world. Like, you moved to LA for a reason. Like my theory is like kind of the people that kind of develop that whole like big fish in a small pond kind of thing where they do everything that they feel that they can do in their hometown. And then we're like, it's like, I may as well, if I'm going to move somewhere, I may as well move to LA. Yeah. So it's kind of like this city of all these people that have become big fish in small ponds, and they get restless and they all move to the same city. Yeah. And it's just it's like the first time I went there was like it was almost like a culture shock.
Yeah.
It's just a party, and it's just nonstop, and it's really easy to get sucked into it. So it's like you got to remind yourself, it's like, why did I come here in the first place? It's like it's not to like wake up at 3 p.m. and not remember what I did last night. I came here to make music.
Yeah.
So, it's just a completely different world. You have to see it to believe it.
Because I think for a lot of people, like LA is the kind of spot that everybody, in Sydney maybe aspires to go, to reach.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just seems unreal, from from like I've never been there in my lifetime and seen the music scene, but from what I see, it just looks, you know, crazy.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool bands over there.
And we've had some guys on here that are not in the rock scene, but you know, we had this guy on our show a couple of weeks ago, Denny, who's talking about, you know, he went over to Miami, and he was saying like, you do one good show and all of a sudden you don't know who's in there kind of thing, and now you're doing this and this and this and that and getting picked up, and you know, it's really, really fast moving, you know. And just the way that he kind of explained the scene to me, I was like, wow. You know, like he's in Miami and all of a sudden now has a tour booked to South America. And
wow.
That's crazy.
It's very fast paced. It's very, you have to be hungry because everyone else is hungry. It's like you can't be lazy about it. It's like you're in LA, not everyone gets to go to LA. Like you have to make the most of it. Yeah. And whether that's just you just want to party, like you're there to just party, or you're there because of your career, it's really easy to get sucked into the party thing.
Yeah.
So would you like make songs for yourself as Blake, or would you do songs just for Molly and the Krells? Like, would you individually become an individual artist yourself one time?
I've been toying with the idea. I've actually been talking to a producer about working with him on that album worth of songs that I've got that I don't really know what to do with. But it's early days. Like a lot of the songs I haven't really finished, but I know that they are kind of like, as a songwriter, it's kind of like what I want to say at this point in time in my life. I just have to get them over the finish line. Then I'll take them to him, and he might, like, you know, the process with the producer is every producer's different as well. Like he might not like some of the songs, or he'll be like, they're not quite ready or whatever. So it's not, say I've got 10 songs, I probably won't be recording 10 songs. Might record the best 5, might record the best 3. I don't know, but that is something I've been toying with. But I try to get it. I try to see if I can make that song a Molly and the Krells song first, and see if I can weave it into
they're
what
really good
we're doing.
Musicians as well. Does they probably have ideas for themselves, and you're working together pretty well.
So usually I'll take the song in like an acoustic format to the band and see, because I'm not a guitarist. Like I can get around playing guitar, but I'm not a guitarist. So I'll take it to the band. And Ian and Dan, who are the guitarists, and they're like both rhythm, both lead, like they share the duties. We'll try and come up with ideas to make it a thing. And then I don't speak drums. So when I talk to a drummer, I'm like, can you like do the psh, psh? And so I don't speak drums. So I'll send them the recording and let them like think it over and come up with some ideas. And then we'll get into a studio and try and flesh it out.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 new songs in the works that we're doing in that kind of process at the moment. And then there's another 10 songs I don't really know what to do with.
Oh, wow. Well, that was the most interesting thing about you when I did my research on you, because I'd obviously heard of Molly and the Krells, and then when I was looking at you, I was like, wait, you're not a solo artist. Like I thought, just from, you know, all your kind of you know, I'd imagine that you had this, you know, kind of solo career as well, and now we're sitting here speaking of it, and I think it may be well on the way. I think so too. I'm starting to go down that route where I'm starting to appreciate a lot more of like the songwriters, the troubadour kind of musicians. And so learning a lot of that kind of stuff, and then really analyzing the music and finding out these really cool songwriting techniques, and then trying to apply them to my songs, and then, you know, and then that process of trying to make the Molly and the Krells songs, and if that doesn't work, just keep them for myself. Yeah, because your Instagram came up, and I was like, and I clicked on your story, and what I would have imagined the song that was on your story, like just from looking at you, and the song that was actually on your story, I was like, that is just completely 2 different worlds.
Yeah, right. That was that one of my covered series ones?
No, this was like you putting up songs that you were listening to. So like me like going and looking at you and just like, and you know, having this idea of like, you know, what kind of music you're listening to, and then you had this song up there, and it was like this singer kind of songwriter, you know, kind of stuff, and this real kind of folky tune, and I was like
singing about their feelings.
And I was like, wow, okay, all right. Like, you know, I was expecting something completely different. And then when I was hit by that, I was like, Yeah. Okay.
Like if you went through his Instagram, he does change.
Yeah.
I feel like Blake goes through.
There's different.
phases.
Yeah, my
He
friends
goes
have
through
this
phases.
thing. My friends have this thing where it's like Blake Mark 1, Blake Mark 2,
Yeah.
Mark 3. I think I'm at Mark 4 at the
I was
moment.
at the first concert with Molly Cruz first started. It was at Evolve Bar, and it was with Acoustic and what I think, and you.
Oh yeah.
It was that you both, all of you were in striped, black and white stripes, like you were.
That was unintentional. Yeah,
it was unintentional.
it was one of those
that
things
was
like
a
in
thing.
Family
You had
Guy
that
where it's,
flat cap on. On the front. Like this is. That's what I remember you as. And then when I saw you Frankie's again, that's when you changed.
yeah.
I think you just went through phase of what you were going through.
You should have seen me before that, like before Vanity Riots and
Yeah, I
all
saw
that
some
stuff.
pictures where you had
Before I cut all my hair off. Yeah, the guy liner. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that scene in Family Guy where Lois and Peter come out and they're both wearing the same thing. They're like, one of us is gonna have to change. She just looks at him, is like, unzip me. It's like that. Like none of us planned that. We just happened to turn up in the same
Like
thing.
even Hayden was in black and white. I think all of you were. It was.
They look good.
It looked good. I thought it must be a bad thing, like Molly Cruz is escaped convicts or
Yeah.
hat on as well. Look like you're like escaped convict. It looked good. It didn't look bad. It just looked really good. And I saw it at Frankie's and obviously what you look like now.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wasn't talking about, you know, things pop up on you and you share things. Oh, this is what you look like. You're 18, long hair, eye man liner, and
just different.
18
Yeah,
years old. Yeah.
yeah.
That was really That's what
It's all my different marks of my life.
Mm.
I can't remember what the marks are, but I think I'm up to Mark 4. This is Blake Mark 4.
Yeah, but he wears the same thing. No matter if he's doing beer gardens, Motley, Frank, it's always the same look. You'll turn like when I saw it at the time at
Black jeans, Connie's,
yeah, well, yeah.
backwards cap.
Well, I bought Converse because of you. Because when I saw you wearing, like, I had to get.
They work. I think I've had these for
pairs
like
of different colors now. I was like, I had to keep going.
I think this is the first interview where I haven't worn my Converses, and I've tried to dress up a little bit tonight. I don't know why, but
you stand out. You stand out from us.
Oh, cheers.
So with you guys cutting short because of the virus, does Molly and the Cruise continue to tour? Like, because it was cut off?
The plan is to pick up where we started.
Tour,
Ironically called What Went Wrong, and we had to cancel it, cut it short.
I didn't think of that today.
So we obviously we had to cut it short because of coronavirus, and we kind of figured we've got a bunch of things like we're working on brainstorming ideas to put a music video together for What Went Wrong.
Yeah.
And then as well as that, because we recorded 2 songs with Stevie Knight, we've still got 1 ready to go, basically.
Yeah.
So that'll come out eventually. And we will probably organize another tour once things calm down and kind of make up for the fact that we had to cut it short last time. It's probably only going to be a couple of dates because in Australia, that's just how it goes. Like there's not really many places, unless you're a real like kind of band that outback Australians really resonate with. You can't really go around to all the country towns and play. It's kind of difficult to do that. But our drummer grew up in Leeton, which is out near Griffith, and so we go out there when we do tours as well, and they lap it up because they just love rock music out there.
So did you have any like music inspirations for you to get into the music scene to play bass? So did you want to play bass or like?
Yeah. Well, when I was 8, I started playing bass because it was to do with like getting into like the school, the music band, the school band basically. And I wanted to play guitar, and the music teacher was like, "We don't need guitar, but we could." And I knew I was playing piano at the time, and she's like, "The piano spots are already filled, but you could play bass guitar because we need like more
bass,
more low end in the ensemble."
Like I was a guitar player in high school myself. Like everyone else was a guitar player. I was with Jack, another guy, and we had to do HSC for 4 songs. And I changed the bass. It was not a big change because so I know bass as well.
Yeah.
So my HSC, I did all 4 songs on bass.
Yeah, sick.
And because someone had to do bass, I was like, I'm gonna play bass.
And you were playing for everyone else's songs as well.
I'm really bass playing the whole place. I was like, I'll do it easy, fast. success.
I just think you're lucky they'd never try to move you on a double bass or something like that.
I tried that. It was just like, especially at a young age, like my fingers are just too small to handle that. What's required of trying to do double bass.
You got another bass, Alec?
Well, the cameras can't see him, but the man is behind the camera over here.
Great bassist as well.
Oh, nice.
I feel like everyone starts out on guitar, but then
or an aspiring
there
guitarist.
are too many guitarists.
Yeah. Same as there are not enough drummers. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Because like
so
every
true.
drum, there's that running joke that every drummer's in like 3 or 4 bands.
Yeah, it's true, because I was trying to find a drummer for Snow Leopard, Stavros' band. I was looking for someone. I'm like, I don't know anyone.
Yeah, and it's also really hard with drummers too, because there's like good drummers and then there's
especially
drummers that can't play in time. It's like, that's your job.
Well. Yeah.
You're literally meant to be a metronome.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a new one.
There are, and usually like the good ones will get snapped up really quickly as well. Like if they're not already playing like 4 bands, they'll get snapped up really quickly, or they already know people and they're like, we need a drummer and you're free, so let's do the same way I got the first drummer in Molly and the Krells. It's like, I know your band just broke up like a month ago.
Bang.
I need a drummer.
Straight away.
Yeah. And one more thing, Blake, because I think we're going to have to wrap it up pretty soon. But what advice would you give to like aspiring musicians and young kids trying to start a band? I suppose.
It's a good question.
As long as other thing is, what advice would you give to bands, to keep them together? Because you seem to have, a bit of longevity with your band.
Yeah. Well, I've had my fair share of bands breaking up as well. Like a lot of the time, it's inevitable. You have to be friends as well. You can't just be playing music because you're in a band and this is what you do. Like you have to be friends. Like if you're not enjoying it, there's no point doing it. But at the same time, like, I guess what you call, like, I've been called a lifer before. It's like, this is my life. Like music, I can't do anything else. This is the only thing that I'm really qualified for. I'm in this for life. You join bands with like, my friend Monica, the singer that was in Vanity Rose, she runs a social media marketing thing. She coaches younger bands, things like that. And she put a post up about like, the difference between a lifer and a weekend warrior. And it's like, you can't be in bands. If you're a lifer, you can't allow yourself to be held back by being in a band with a weekend warrior. Whereas it's kind of just like a bit of fun. They don't really take it seriously. They don't really want to invest a lot of money into it, that kind of thing. And it's like, if you are a weekend warrior, you either need to step up or step down. Yeah. It's like, you need to either stop being unfair to the person that is running the whole thing, or like that this means a lot to, or you need to like just accept the fact that this isn't for me, or just it's okay to be a weekend warrior, but find other people that are on the same level as you. So it's a difficult question to say what I'd say to younger people or younger bands. You have to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good advice, to be honest with you. Yeah.
It's pretty vague, but
this is honest.
I can't figure out what else to say. Like you have to enjoy what you do, and you have to be doing it with people that you enjoy being around. Yeah.
But for you, when you were like 18, 19, when you started this journey, what would you tell them? What advice would you go back and give, younger Blake? What would you tell him to get him ahead, I suppose?
Difficult.
Foxy said about you that she loved your dedication to the music and how serious you are to it, and that's why she wanted you to come along to the Hots.
Yeah.
Because I saw an interview about Hots and that's what she said about you.
Yeah.
She loved your dedication to the music, and that's probably a great advice.
Yeah.
That you've got the dedication to be that lifetime musician you are now.
Yeah. I suppose the reason that I'm trying to grill you so much on this question is because I'm trying to figure it out, because so many bands that we've had on here, and like Paul's mentioned your name, and they're like, oh, we were so nervous about meeting him, and then he turned out to be this really nice guy, and stuff like
the same
that.
thing. They're like, oh, we saw Blake on stage. Oh, They were intimidated
Yeah, so
by
every-
your confidence, but then when you made it, you're like down to earth guy, you're humble,
Yeah,
you're
right.
honest guy.
And even tonight, I feel like I've
Thanks.
been a little bit nervous tonight, doing this interview because I've just seen all your kind of like projects and, even doing a bit of research on you. I was like, oh shit, it was kind of that reaction to it. And I'm honestly asking this question, in terms of like what can you do as, to get ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
Trying to suss out some of your secrets, I suppose.
Yeah. I feel like I could say if there's something that you really want to do,
Yeah.
even if it's scary, like stepping out of your comfort zone is a good and healthy thing to do.
Absolutely.
Just do it. Like if you earn it, if you go out and do it yourself and you earn it, you've earned it. Like it wasn't given to you by someone else. They can't hold that over you and take it away whenever they want. If you've earned something yourself, it's yours, as opposed to just latching on to other people.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, thanks Blake for coming on tonight, mate. It's been an honor
Thanks
to
for
have
having
you
me.
here.
it's been fun. I liked it. I was like, I wanted to ask you questions. I want to know answers. I was like,
Me too, man.
don't get watching. I want to know myself as well. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me as well.
Yeah, no worries.
We should do it again in like a year's time and see what's
Absolutely.
changed.
Yeah, definitely we'll have to. It'd be amazing.